What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be going over my UFC 311 breakdowns and predictions. Going to be going over each fight, starting with the early prelims, ending with the main event. Without further ado, let's get right into it. First fight of the night, Tagir Ulanbekov versus Clayton Carpenter. I'm going to go with Tagir Ulanbekov via a 29-28 unanimous decision. I wouldn't be surprised if Carpenter got this done, to be honest. That's why I have the odds pretty close. But I am decently confident in Tagir. I think he's a step up from anybody else Clayton Carpenter has fought. I don't think Carpenter is ready for an opponent at Tagir's level. He's long, he's rangy, he can strike. That's his main thing. But he's also a Dagestani that trains with Khabib. And he can fucking grapple too, I'll tell you that. Tagir is a very good grappler and wrestler. And I think he's just going to be too much for Carpenter, the pressure. Carpenter is good. He's 8-0. He looked good against Lucas Rocha in his last fight. His grappling looks good. He's got finishing ability, but I just think Tagir is going to be the next step up. And I don't think Carpenter's ready for that, but I don't think it's going to be a major setback. I think he's going to lose this one, then come back strong for another good few fights. But I don't know. I do like Tagir, man. He is a really good fighter. He did lose to Tim Elliott, which was it was weird. Tim Elliott was cheating a whole bunch of shit. That was some fucking bullshit from Tim Elliott. I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, submitted Nate Maness, submitted Cody Darden. He looked good in those fights. It I just think his skill set, his frame, he's 5'7". That's what he's listed at, but he's clearly taller. If there's a picture of him standing next to Islam, Khabib, and Umar, and he's like the same height as Islam almost, who is listed at 5'10", and clearly taller than Umar. He's listed at 5'8". So I think he's more around 5'9", maybe 5'9.5". But yeah, Tagir Ulanbekov, I think he's gonna get this one done over Clayton Carpenter by decision. Let's move on to the next fight. Ricky Turcios versus Bernardo Sopai. I'm going to be picking Sopai via a 30-27 decision. I just think Turcios is shit. I'm not going to lie to you. He looks flashy, he looks quick, but he's not a good fighter at all. He gets taken down super easily. He just he scrambles weird, doesn't actually have any thought behind it. He's fucking just strikes, does whatever, but he doesn't actually have the proper timing down, nothing like that. I just think he's a bad fighter. I'm gonna be honest with you. And Sopai, I actually think is very, very good. He looked really good against Vinicius Oliveira. I feel like most people just remember that fight because of the KO in the third round from Vinicius Oliveira. But Sopai won the first round and was winning the second round, arguably. Like, that fight was very close. That fight was competitive. And he's looked good in other fights, too. Um, like, in previous organizations, I went back and watched some of his old fights. He looks good. And yeah, I'm going to pick him to beat Ricky Turcios pretty easily. I just think Turcios is shit. I'm not going to lie to you. I don't know. I've never been impressed by a Ricky Turcios performance. He's always looked kind of mid. I get he can kind of fool people sometimes with his flashy kicks and stuff. He's got a lot of volume. He pressures fighters, but I don't know. He like actual like skill wise and like ability to win fights, it just isn't there for Ricky Turcios. So gotta go with Bernardo Sopai here. Yeah, nothing more to say about this fight. Let's move on to the next one. Rinya Nakamura versus Muin Gafarov. Look at this guy, man. Fucking goofy ass face. Looks like a cartoon character. But nah, I'm going to be going with Rinya Nakamura via a 29-28 unanimous decision. Looking at the odds, I probably should have put the odds a little more in Nakamura's favor. 60-40 might seem a little too close, but I don't know, man. I see holes in Nakamura's game, man. Like, he obviously looks like a very good fighter. He looks super skilled, but there's something about him. I can smell a fraud check coming very soon. And I don't think it's going to be Namu and Gafarov, but I think there is one area where Gafarov can give him a little bit of issues, and it's the low kicks. Gafarov, I was watching his last fight against can't remember the fucking guy's name, I'm not gonna lie to you. But I was watching his last fight. It was against let me just see here. Against Kyung Ho Khan. I was watching his fight against Kyung Ho Khan, who is obviously not the best opponent, but Gafarov's low kicks in there looked pretty sharp, looked pretty slick. He was landing a bunch of them. They looked heavy. He hurt him with a couple of them. And Renya Nakamura stands with a very wide stance. His lead leg is out there to be hit. And I think Gafarov will land low kicks in this fight, but I don't know, man. That's going to be risky. Nakamura's going to catch a few of them, get takedowns with it. I think Nakamura is going to get this one done pretty comfortably. I don't really see Gafarov having anything off his back, no submission threat. I don't really see him having control time of his own. Nakamura is an elite wrestler, very good, but I don't know. Something about Nakamura, man. I smell a fraud check coming soon. Not Tamu and Gafarov, though. Nakamura's going to win this one. But, yeah, let's move on to the next fight. Carol Rosa versus Eileen Perez. I'm going to go with the underdog here, Eileen Perez, to win a 29-28 unanimous decision. My first underdog pick of the card. Definitely not too confident, as you can see by my odds, but I am going to go with Perez to win this fight. She's riding a 4-fight win streak. She got an arm triangle finish in the first round in her last fight, so pretty impressive stuff. But I just think she has the momentum to win this one, and she's also like, I just think stylistically it's going to be tough for Carol Rosa. Eileen Perez is a pressure fighter. She shoots takedowns. She will take you down. The fighters will be able to get up from her, but she will continuously go and shoot takedowns on you. She's not a slow starter, whereas Carl Rosa is a good starter, or the slow starter, excuse me. She is a slow starter. A lot of her fights, she shows that, she just doesn't do anything in the beginning, and then later on in the fight, she decides to turn things up. And that's just not going to work against a fighter like Eileen Perez, who's going to be bringing the pressure the whole time. I think she loses the first 2 rounds pretty comfortably, and then maybe, starts putting things on in the third. But yeah, man, I'm going to go Eileen Perez here. I think this is a clear underdog pick. Style wise, I just think she's a bad matchup for Carl Rosa. And yeah, I mean, definitely not too confident, but that's who I'm going with. Let's move on to the next fight. Zachary Reese versus Azamat Bakoev. I'm going to be picking the underdog here, Zachary Reese, via a first round TKO. I'm not sure why he's the underdog. He should be the favorite here, in my opinion. Bakoev has taken this on like less than a week's notice and is making his debut from the LFA, where he honestly doesn't look that good. I went back and rewatched his fight with Chauncey Foxworth. I I'm not gonna lie, I had no idea who that was before watching the fight. He's 19-10, so obviously not a great guy, especially since he's in the LFA. So that 19-10 record looks a whole lot worse over there. But I don't know, man. Like, he had moments against Bakoev, man. Like, he hurt Bakoev on the feet a few times. They didn't like drop him or like rock him too bad, but he hurt him a few times. He controlled him against the cage a lot, and he had some ground control on him. And that's not a great look. I mean, like, if a 19-10 guy like Chauncey Foxworth from the LFA is doing that to Bakoev, making it competitive. I know Bakoev won the fight. He got the finish, but he did not look great in that fight. Showed some really low IQ moments. And Zachary Reese, man, like, he is extremely dangerous. He's won all of his wins by first round finish, except his most recent one against Jose Medina, which he won by decision. But Jose Medina is very difficult to finish, so I'm not going to be too hard on him there. But yeah, man, all of his other wins he has finished by first round finish, most of them by KO, but he does have a couple submissions in there, which I mean even further proves my point. If Bakoev is, either Bakoev stands on the feet with him and probably gets KO'd in like a minute or less, or Bakoev, goes down, just grapples the whole time and probably gets caught with some submission attempts, probably gets reversed because Reese himself can wrestle as well. He's going to be a lot bigger than Bakoev in there. He's 6'4" with a 77-inch reach. Those long, lengthy limbs. He's going to be able to scramble. He's going to be able to, get in some weird positions. And I don't know, man. I just think he's going to beat Azamat Bakoev here. The safe bet is that he wins by first round TKO. I probably wouldn't like it too much if Reese tried to grapple with Bakoev because that's Bakoev's territory, even though I think Reese would be successful there as well because I just don't think Bakoev is that good. Plus the fact that Bakoev's on short notice, he didn't look amazing and showed low IQ against Chauncey Foxworth, a 19-10 LFA opponent. That's just not a good look, man. So yeah, I'm gonna have to go with Zachary Reese here by first round TKO. Let's move on to the next fight. Grant Dawson versus Diego Ferreira. I'm going to be going with the underdog here, man. I'm going to be going with Diego Ferreira to get it done via a 29-28 unanimous decision. I don't know, man. He's the better striker of the two. Dawson's striking just does not look good. He's open, he's hittable. And on the ground, man, I just don't see him running over Diego Ferreira and just like mowing him down on the ground. Like, I think Ferreira is going to be able to reverse some stuff. He's going to be able to get up at times. He's going to be able to get some ground control of his own. And on the feet, man, it's going to be a night and day difference. Ferreira's faster. He's way more powerful. Grant Dawson's going to have to be, very worrisome about that power, especially after what happened against Bobby Green, where, Bobby Green slept him in like 30 seconds. But, I mean, man, Ferreira's going to catch him. I think Ferreira will drop Grant Dawson in this fight. Maybe once, maybe more than once, who knows? But I think he is going to drop him. Like, I don't know, man. Ferreira just puts this pressure on people. And I know Dawson can put pressure on you too, but Ferreira puts a different kind of pressure on you, man. Like, he can take some hits in the first round, and then, man, he just comes back in the second and third and just puts, like, against Mateusz Rebecki. Like, Rebecki looked good in the first round, dropped him, was beating him up, and then in the second and third round, he just put a pace on Rebecki, started beating him up, and finished him in the third round. Very impressive, finishing Mateusz Rebecki, a huge prospect in the lightweight division. And man, even at 40 years old, Diego Ferreira still has it, in my opinion. And I think he is going to beat Grant Dawson here. I think he's going to cut Grant Dawson open with some good shots. I think he's going to, bruise him up. I think he's going to cut him up and damage him. I think Dawson will win the grappling exchanges, but Ferreira's also going to have some grappling of his own up his sleeve. He's going to be able to defend a couple takedowns, I think. Even though I do think Dawson is going to be able to get Ferreira down pretty comfortably, I do think Ferreira will be able to scramble. Ferreira can throw up submissions, and on the feet, I just think he's going to out damage Dawson and win a damage based decision, 29-28. Yeah, I would not be surprised if Dawson won this fight, though. This is definitely a really close fight, but I am going to favor Diego Ferreira with the power and the striking advantage. I think he's going to cut him open. I think he's going to hurt Dawson, probably drop him a few times, and win 29-28, unanimous decision. Let's move on to the next fight. Bogdan Gushkov versus Billy Elikana. I'm going to have to go with Bogdan Gushkov via a first round KO. Another short notice fight, same with the Zachary Reese one earlier. This was supposed to be Johnny Walker getting slept again, but Billy Elikana steps in on less than a week notice to fill in for Johnny Walker. And honestly, man, it's just not going to end well. I went back and watched some of Billy Elikana's LFA fights, and honestly, he doesn't look terrible. He's a very slow-paced fighter. He will take his time. He will let himself get pushed on the back foot, which is going to allow Bogdan Gushkov to control the pace for pretty much the whole fight. And I don't know, man, with the short notice, I don't think that's enough time to figure out an opponent like Bogdan Gushkov. You know, I don't know, man. It's gonna be bad for Billy Elikana, man. I don't like short notice fights. I like when both fighters have a full camp, but nothing you can do about it, man. Walker got injured. Walker would have got KO'd anyway, so who knows? Maybe Billy Alicana surprises us a bit, and maybe he's a solid. Maybe he can become a solid contender himself in the UFC. But gotta go with Gushkov, man. Maybe Alicana can really just put himself on the back foot and just focus purely on defense. Let Bogdan kind of swing heavily, maybe gas himself out, and then maybe Alicana tries to rush a finish in the third round and gets it. But highly doubt that's gonna happen. I'm pretty confident in this pick. You can never really trust a guy without a training camp too much. Training camps are very important, so I'm gonna have to go with Bogdan Gushkov via a first round KO. I think maybe he engages in a brawl with Elikana and then sleeps him. Elikana is not a very fast paced fighter, so I don't know, man. I don't see Elikana going out there and just speed blitzing Gushkov and just sleeping him. So gotta go with Gushkov here, man. First round KO, hopefully. I'd like to see Gushkov get farther in the rankings, get another highlight reel, but who knows, man. Let's get on to the next fight. Jailton Almeida versus Sergey Spivak. I'm going to go with Jailton Almeida via a second round submission. I'm very confident in this. Almeida is a fucking monster on the ground. He's obscenely strong. I just think he's going to go in there, ragdoll Spivak, get a lot of good ground and pound going, and finish Spivak either in the first or second round. I do think Spivak is a lot better than the rest of the blobs. I think Spivak is the best of all the, blobby sort of heavyweights. He's barely even a blob, but I would still consider him part of the blobs. And I just think, Almeida's just one step above all those guys, physical wise. And I think he's going to go out there, out grapple Sergey Spivak the whole time. Maybe, Spivak throws up some submissions. Maybe he reverses some stuff because he is a very good grappler himself. Definitely the best fighter, or definitely the best fighter that Almeida has fought so far besides Curtis Blades, who he lost to. And, to bring that up, he was ragdolling Curtis Blades in that fight before Curtis Blades finished him with the shots to the back of the head, or not back of the head, but to the hammer fist to the side of the head, which put Almeida out. Almeida was really putting the pressure on Blades. He took Blades down. He was controlling him on the ground. And if you're doing that to Blades, man, I see no reason why you're not going to do that to Spivak. I think Spivak's just going to get mauled here on the ground and finished in the first two rounds. And I say second round submission for Jailton Almeida. If Sergey wins this, I'm going to be very surprised. And fuck, man, good shit, Sergey. But yeah, gotta go with Jailton Almeida here, man. Let's move on to the next fight. Peyton Talbot versus Raoni Barcelos. I'm gonna have to go with Peyton Talbot via a first round KO. Another very confident pick. I don't know, man. Raoni Barcelos, he's getting old. I don't know, man. The chin seems to be going. Peyton Talbot, very dangerous up and comer. Not someone you want to stand on the feet with, and I feel like Raoni Barcelos is gonna do that. I feel like Raoni Barcelos is going to, stand on the feet with Talbot, and I think Talbot's gonna KO him within the first 2 minutes. Because that's just what Talbot does. He's a very dangerous striker. Man, he's super impressive, man. Like, his fight with Cameron Simon was like, sometimes I just go back and rewatch that fight, and I'm impressed every single time, man. The fact that he was able to do that to a guy like Cameron Simon, who was very good in his own right, that was very impressive. The 18-second finish to Giannis Gaimori, and, everything else he's done on the feet. The guy looks like an animal on the feet. Very dangerous striker. He's finished almost all of his wins. Yeah, he's finished almost all of his wins. He has 7 wins by KO, 1 win by submission, 1 win by decision. So definitely a knockout artist, and I think he's gonna sleep Ronnie Barcelos, man. Ronnie Barcelos, he's not a bad fighter at all. Definitely the best fighter, I would say, that Peyton Talbot has fought, or the most proven fighter. He won his last fight against Christian Quinones by rear naked choke. Before that, lost to Kyler Phillips. Got slept in the first round by Umar Nurmagomedov. Not the best look. Beat Trevin Jones, but yeah, man, I don't know. Payne Talbot's gonna go out there, in my opinion, land some good shots, and eventually find the right one and put Ronnie Barcelos to sleep. So yeah, man, Peyton Talbot, first round KO. Let's move on to the next fight. Moving up to the main card, Kevin Holland versus Rainer de Ridder. I'm going to be picking Kevin Holland via a 29-28 split decision. I was really set on picking Rainer de Ridder pretty much up until yesterday. I was thinking in my head, okay, when I make this, I'm going to be picking de Ridder. I can't trust Holland against a grappler at middleweight. But then I went back and watched some of his fights. I watched his fight with Gerald Mearshart. I watched the fight with Brendan Allen. Honestly, it's mostly just the wrestlers that give him problems, like Hamzat Chimaev and Derek Brunson. Like the guys that like Derek Brunson, he'll get you down, he'll hold you there. He's not advancing positions. Hamzat Chimaev, it's Hamzat Chimaev. What do you expect? Guys like Gerald Mearshart and Brendan Allen, who I think are similar level grapplers to Rainer de Ridder. I'd even argue a guy like Brendan Allen is a better, more dangerous grappler than Rainer de Ridder. Holland sees the openings that those guys give him when they try to, advance on positions, when they try to get closer to submission attempts. Holland sees the openings that they give, and Holland is pretty much always able to, scramble out some type of way. He's either able to get up completely or at least just get out of harm's way for the time being. And I think Rainer de Ridder is going to have a lot more issue than he thinks trying to find the submission on Kevin Holland. I think Kevin Holland's going to scramble really well. And honestly, man, de Ridder, like, it was competitive with Gerald Mearshart in the grappling. Like, honestly, like, I argue him and Holland both looked about the same against Gerald Mearshart in the grappling. Holland just looked better on the feet. That's pretty much it. But yeah, man, speaking of the feet, like, Holland's gonna be way faster. He's gonna be way slicker on the feet. He's gonna be the better striker of the two by far. De Ridder's gonna be actively trying to get it to the ground. He's gonna be shooting sloppy takedown attempts. He's slow. He's ploddy on the feet. I don't know, man. I think this is a good fight for Kevin Holland, man. I think he's gonna be able to dance around on the feet, land some low kicks, um, you know, defend against defend against the grappling from Rainer de Ridder. Probably even reverse some stuff, man. When he's scrambling, when de Ridder leaves an opening, he might be able to reverse something and get on top. And when Holland's on top, he throws a lot of ground and pound, man. De Ridder doesn't really work with the ground and pound like that. And the judges are going to notice Kevin Holland's ground and pound, and they're gonna tally up those striking numbers when Holland's on top. And the striking on the feet, man, I think Holland's going to win a volume decision, man. I think he's just going to have so much more strikes than Rainer de Ridder. And, the grappling is going to be decently competitive. I think Kevin Holland's going to win this one, man. I think it's going to be very close, very competitive, but I got to go Kevin Holland on this one, man. Let's move on to the next fight. Jamal Hill versus Yuri Prochazka. I'm going to go with Yuri Prochazka via a third-round TKO. I think it's going to be similar to the Rakic fight, but, Yuri's going to be a little bit more aware of Jamal's power because he hits harder than Rakic with his hands. But maybe not, honestly, because the reason that Rakic didn't get KO'd, the reason Rakic didn't get finished earlier is because he was keeping Yuri back with the leg kicks. He was hurting Yuri's legs, and Yuri wasn't able to just move forward the whole time. Hill's not going to have that. Hill doesn't have Rakic level leg kicks. He's not going to be able to just, chop at Yuri's legs and damage them up and stop Yuri from coming in. Yuri's going to be walking through all these leg kicks, and honestly, man, like, I don't see Hill putting Yuri away. Like, you have to be like Alex Pereira level with the power to put Yuri away. And Jamal Hill is just not that. His power is not that impressive in my opinion. Took him a while to finish Ovince St. Preux. Couldn't really hurt Glover at any point. Couldn't really drop him. And I don't know, man. I don't really see him, hurting or dropping Yuri. I could see him hurting Yuri, but I don't see him dropping or finishing Yuri. So, man, I just think Yuri's going to, do classic Yuri fashion. He's just going to walk forward, walk through everything Hill has, and just break him over 3 rounds, and eventually get the third round TKO and finish Jamal Hill. Similar to the Rakic fight, but probably a little different because Hill is not going to have the leg kicks to keep Yuri back, but also because Hill has more punching power than Rakic. I think Yuri's going to be a little bit more hesitant, to just completely walk in the entire time. Because if he does that, I could see Hill KOing him. But yeah, man, I really hope Yuri wins this, man. That'll ruin my night if Jamal Hill sleeps Yuri. That'll really ruin my night. But hopefully that doesn't happen. I am going to be picking Yuri Prochazka. Yeah, let's move on to the next fight. Merab Dvalishvili versus Umar Nurmagomedov. Bantamweight title on the line. Co-main event. I'm picking Umar Nurmagomedov via a 48-47 unanimous decision. I think this fight is going to be decently close. I think Merab's pace and cardio and constant takedowns is actually going to cause a problem for Umar. We've seen Umar have some struggles with Corey Sandhagen in the grappling, so I would not be surprised if Umar, takes him down, has some control time with him. But he's a Nurmagomedov. He trains with Khabib. He's not going to be scared of the takedowns. He's going to be ready for it. On the feet, he's not. It's not going to be like most strikers, like Sean O'Malley, who don't really throw any volume because they're scared of getting taken down. Umar's not going to care about that. He's going to be unloading on the feet. He's going to be way faster. He's going to be way better on the feet than Merab. And on the ground, man, I think they're both just going to control each other. I think Umar might even just control him more until the later rounds, where I think Merab will start to take over a bit in the grappling, but I don't think it's going to be enough. I do think Umar is going to get this one done. Father's plan is going to continue, and Umar Nurmagomedov will become UFC bantamweight champion, where honestly, I don't know if anybody beats Umar. If Merab doesn't beat Umar, I don't know who beats him, man. Because these two guys look super unstoppable, man. Maybe Peter Yan. Merab was yapping a lot about how Peter Yan looked unbeatable after beating a flyweight. But yeah, man, I don't know. I got Umar in this one. Let me know what you guys think about this one because I actually think this is a very interesting matchup, especially in the grappling department. But I am gonna go Umar Nurmagomedov. Let me know what you guys think. Let's move on to the main event. I had to make some last minute adjustments to this video because Renato Moicano is now fighting Islam Makhachev. Arman Sarukian hurt his back or something and pulled out. I don't know, man. There's always something weird that goes down with these cards, but honestly, I'm not too mad at this. This is actually a cool ass matchup. Interesting to see Moicano win a title shot. But realistically, man, I gotta go with Islam Makhachev. I'm gonna pick him by a second round TKO, and you can see the odds, man. They are not in Moicano's favor. Short notice. Didn't it was not preparing for Islam Makhachev at all. He was preparing for Beneil Dariush, which is way different. So yeah, man. Plus it's Makhachev. I don't think Moicano is at that level. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't see how Moicano wins this. I think this is gonna be a one-sided beatdown for Islam Makhachev, and he's gonna get a pretty easy finish here. But who knows? Maybe Moicano surprises us. But that is going to be the end of the video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Let me know your guys' predictions in the comments down below, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.